All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about a rumor, a big rumor that has just come out yesterday about Overwatch. And now, normally I don't talk about rumors, and my reasoning behind that has to do with me not wanting to basically set up any kind of disappointment. The problem with rumors is that really two things can result from a rumor. One, the rumor ends up being true, and then when it gets announced, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, we knew about it before it happened, so we kill some of the hype. Or the rumor ends up being fake, and everyone's like, oh, well, we got hype for this thing and it never came out. So I like to not talk about rumors that much, but this one is so big that I feel the need to talk about it. And the rumor is that Blizzard cancels a StarCraft first person shooter to focus on Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2. This comes from Jason Schreier, I don't know how you pronounce it, but he is someone who has been very good in the past about writing and having stuff actually come true. So I'm going to read it and we're going to talk about it. So, Blizzard has canceled a StarCraft first person shooter that has been in development for the past 2 years, according to three people familiar with goings on at the studio. The main reason, Blizzard told staff, was to put more resources into the Diablo and Overwatch franchises. The project, which was codenamed Ares, was described to me as like Battlefield in the StarCraft universe by one of those people, all of whom spoke anonymously because they were not authorized to talk about the project. The team had built prototypes in which the player, as a Terran Marine, could gun down Zerg aliens, and there were plans to experiment with playable Zerg as well. Although one person who saw builds of the game last year told me that it seemed like development progress was slow, a second said it came as a massive shock when Blizzard canceled it a couple of weeks ago. A third person said it was looking quite good. When asked for comment, Blizzard sent over a lengthy and non-specific statement, which I will read later. Nobody was laid off as a result of the cancellation, and according to two staff, Blizzard told the team that Ares was getting axed alongside a second unannounced mobile project so that the company could move many of them to the upcoming Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2, both of which are expected to be Blizzard's marquee announcements at this year's BlizzCon. Of course, as we saw last year when it comes to BlizzCon announcements, anything can change. But both of those games will be key parts of Blizzard's strategy in the years to come. Kotaku has reported extensively on Diablo 4, codenamed Fenris, late last year. And what we've heard about Overwatch 2, or whatever it winds up being called, is that it'll have a large PvE element. A couple of Blizzard people have compared it to Left 4 Dead. Ares first entered development in 2017 as an experiment to see what the team could do with StarCraft on the Overwatch engine. An engine, of course, is a suite of tools and reusable code that developers use to make games, but you all probably knew that. And Blizzard has been hoping to move as many games as possible on the same technology in order to make their infamously slow game productions more efficient. That plan revolves around the new shared engine that's being adopted by multiple Blizzard projects. Heading up Ares was the veteran Blizzard director Dustin Browder, who formerly led Heroes of the Storm and StarCraft 2, and it was planned to be the next game in the StarCraft universe. Of course, this isn't the first time Blizzard has canceled a StarCraft shooter. The infamous StarCraft Ghost, a third-person shooter stealth game that would star the Terran Ghost Nova, went through several developer changes and public delays after its 2002 announcement before it was finally axed in 2006. Here is Blizzard's full statement. We don't generally comment on unannounced projects, but we will say the following. We always have people working on different ideas behind the scenes, including on multiple projects right now. But the reason we tend not to discuss them publicly is because anything can happen over the course of development. As has been the case at Blizzard numerous times in the past, there is always the possibility that we'll make the decision to not move forward on a given project. Announcing something before we feel it's ready stands the risk of creating a lot of frustration and disappointment, both for our players and us, not to mention distraction and added pressure for our development teams. We pour our hearts and souls into this work, and as players ourselves, we know how exciting it can be to see and know with certainty that a new project is coming. Knowing that changes or disappointments can happen doesn't make it any less painful when we have to shelve a project or when an announcement doesn't go as planned. We always make decisions about these things, regardless of the ultimate outcome or how things might be interpreted, based on our values, what we believe makes sense for Blizzard, and what we hope our players will enjoy the most. The work that goes into these projects, whether they ship or not, is extraordinarily valuable. It often leads to great things and helps foster a culture of experimentation here. With all that said, we're very much looking forward to revealing other things we're working on when the time is right. On this the statement of whether they ship or not, whether they ship or not, that's an interesting thing to mention, just because Overwatch was not something that was originally meant to be Overwatch, but it became Overwatch. It was something else originally. But obviously, back to the whole thing about Overwatch 2 and not knowing about what's coming to BlizzCon and all this other stuff. Some of the stuff is interesting when you keep in mind this interview with Game Informer that J. Allen Brack did last week. We can start with the BlizzCon one. He said specifically, I don't know what we're going to talk about at BlizzCon yet. We still haven't all figured it out yet. We'll see where everything gets as we get closer to the event, but it's obviously an opportunity for us to talk about what we've been working on. I can't imagine they have no idea what they're going to talk about yet. That seems ridiculous that they don't know, when in general you have to know these things really far in advance because you're game devs, and game devs are working on stuff very far in advance, so they should know ideally and in reality what they're working on. But the biggest thing that he talked about in this interview, at least in regards to this, was a question on expanding IP as opposed to making new games and new IP, to which essentially he said there's a lot of different types of games that can exist within the IPs we have. If we think about the Overwatch IP, for example, we think about the Overwatch IP as being extremely large and extremely all-encompassing. Overwatch is just a very small part of what the IP could be. We've seen with Warcraft starting out as an RTS, having a massive MMO, having Hearthstone. There's been other projects that have been in the Warcraft experience that haven't made it to market in the past, like Warcraft Adventures. We think that a lot of these franchises have the ability to have lots of different types of games, lots of different types of experiences. So we want to create more games in our franchises, and we do want to think about new franchises as well. So it's a very interesting report there, or an interview there, where he's saying, we want to make new games within the franchises we already have, but also we want to make new things as well. And then this lines up with this idea that they have Diablo 4, which was rumored to be coming out last year. They talked about the fact that they were following development of it on Kotaku, and nothing happened. Of course, we got Diablo Immortal. So either something happened and they were going to reveal Diablo 4 and they didn't, or not, who knows. What's interesting to me is I don't really think Overwatch 2 is necessarily the best option. And they are very clearly saying Overwatch 2 or whatever it ends up being called. They're not saying like it will be called Overwatch 2. And they say it focuses or has a large PvE element similar to Left 4 Dead. So to me, this is one of two things. It's either an expansion to Overwatch that adds a large number of new things, probably some new heroes, this new PvE element, new skins, all that kind of stuff, whatever. We know that we're getting that Sombra skin from BlizzCon last year, this year, at some point. We haven't gotten it yet, so maybe it would be a part of a big expansion. The other thing, though, that it could possibly be is a new game, but I don't think it would be Overwatch 2. I think it would be another Overwatch game that is a different style of game. Obviously, they mentioned that the StarCraft game was a Battlefield-like game. So I think it could be a story-based shooter, and it's PvE because you have a story that you're following, and maybe you're following the rise and the fall of Overwatch. Maybe the missions that we got to play in the Archives event get some kind of movement into this one. Maybe it's a 4-player story, basically. You can play as multiple different heroes. You can play as a different hero each time you play through it. Who knows what the plan is, but I don't necessarily think it's a new Overwatch in the sense that, like, it's what we have seen so far from Overwatch. I think it's more likely that it is a new game that is different from Overwatch. I don't think it's just a direct sequel to Overwatch, because that to me would divide the player base, and it doesn't seem like a great thing to do right now. So I guess we'll find out at BlizzCon, but I just wanted to share this thing with you and give some of my thoughts. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing for more videos like this in the future. I'll keep following this rumor. If anything else comes out about it, I'll look into it. But for now, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.